The golden hues of the late afternoon sun bathed Elmwood Park in warmth, where laughter and chatter filled the air. Joggers weaved through trails, children's giggles echoed by the swings, and the faint rustle of leaves added rhythm to the lively scene. Amid this bustle, 16-year-old Malik strolled along the gravel path, a backpack slung over his shoulder. To him, the park was just a shortcut, a routine route to pick up groceries for his mom. Then, something unusual stopped him in his tracks. A small tan leather purse sitting alone on a weathered bench. It looked out of place, abandoned yet oddly conspicuous. Malik hesitated. His instincts whispered to leave it alone. It wasn't his problem. But a deeper voice nudged him to investigate. Torn between walking away and doing the right thing, Malik found himself facing a decision that would soon change his life forever.
Before we dive into today's story, we'd love your support. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Your engagement helps us create more inspiring stories just for you. Now, without further ado, let's get started.
The crisp autumn air carried the scent of fallen leaves as Malik walked through Elmwood Park. The golden light of the setting sun spilled through the trees, casting long shadows on the gravel path. It was a busy afternoon in the park. Children darted around the playground, couples strolled hand in hand, and joggers moved rhythmically to the beat of their playlists. For most people, it was a place to unwind. For Malik, it was a practical shortcut, a familiar path he took daily on errands for his mom. With his backpack slung over one shoulder, Malik's focus was on getting home quickly. But then, a flash of tan caught his eye. On a worn wooden bench near the playground sat a small leather purse. It didn't belong in the picture, a detail out of place in the well-kept park. He slowed his steps, his gaze fixed on the object as curiosity took hold. Malik glanced around, scanning for anyone who might have left it behind. Parents watched their children, joggers passed by, but no one paid attention to the abandoned purse. It sat there, unclaimed and vulnerable, as if waiting for someone to notice. His first instinct was to keep walking. Not my problem, he thought, quickening his pace. But as he moved farther away, a small voice inside him grew louder. What if the person who lost it was desperate to find it? What if it held something important? Malik stopped in his tracks, his thoughts spinning. His mother had always taught him to do the right thing, even when it wasn't convenient. Yet, a part of him wondered if it was worth the trouble. What if someone accused him of stealing? What if this simple act of kindness led to more trouble than it was worth? The internal debate gnawed at him as he turned back toward the bench. The purse remained there, unguarded and oddly vulnerable. His chest tightened as he approached it cautiously, as if the small item carried a weight he couldn't yet understand. Up close, the purse was scuffed on the corners, its leather worn from use, but still sturdy. Malik hesitated, his hand hovering above it. Finally, he picked it up, feeling its surprising lightness in his hands. His heart quickened as he unzipped the main compartment. Inside were a wallet, a set of keys, and a folded receipt. The wallet revealed an ID card, and Malik studied the photograph of a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Linda Crawford, the name read. He glanced again around the park, hoping someone might claim it, but the crowd moved on, unaware. As he stood there with the purse in hand, Malik sighed. He hadn't planned on taking a detour like this, but something told him he couldn't just leave it behind. Placing the purse into his backpack, Malik made a quiet resolve. He was going to return it no matter what. Malik placed the purse on the kitchen table, its tan leather contrasting with the smooth wooden surface. His younger sister, Layla, stood on her tiptoes, trying to peek over the edge. At just 10 years old, her curiosity often made her the first to ask questions, and today was no different. "What's that?" she asked, her wide eyes fixed on the purse. "Did you find it? Is there money inside?" Malik chuckled softly at her eagerness, unzipping the purse and pulling out the wallet. "No, Layla," he replied. "It's not mine. I found it on a bench at the park." He flipped open the wallet to reveal the ID card again. "Her name is Linda Crawford. I think she must have lost it." Layla wrinkled her nose, disappointed by the lack of adventure. "So, what are you going to do with it? Can we keep it?" "Of course not," Malik said firmly, shaking his head. "She's probably worried sick. I need to return it to her." Just then, their mother, Mrs. Taylor, walked into the room, wiping her hands on a dish towel after finishing the evening's dishes. Her eyes landed on the purse immediately, a hint of curiosity crossing her face. "What's this about a purse?" she asked, her tone a mix of caution and concern. Malik explained how he had found it in the park and how he had resolved to return it to its rightful owner. His mom listened carefully, nodding along, but frowning slightly as he finished. "You're doing the right thing, Malik," she said, her voice steady but cautious. "But you need to be careful. Not everyone trusts a stranger knocking on their door, especially, well, you know." She didn't finish the sentence, but Malik understood. The unspoken words lingered in the air. Malik knew the challenges that came with being a young black teen in his neighborhood. Even a simple act of kindness could be misunderstood. "I know, Mom," he said quietly, "but I can't just leave it. What if it were you? Wouldn't you want someone to bring it back?" Mrs. Taylor sighed, her expression softening. "You're a good boy, Malik. Just be smart about it. Let her know you mean no harm, and don't linger if you sense any trouble." Layla, now bored with the conversation, tugged at Malik's sleeve. "Are you going to do it tomorrow?" "Yes," Malik said with determination. "First thing in the morning." That night, as he prepared for bed, Malik couldn't shake the uneasy thoughts swirling in his mind. What if Linda Crawford didn't believe him? What if she accused him of stealing? But beneath the doubts, a stronger conviction remained. Returning the purse was the right thing to do. The next morning, Malik double-checked the address on Linda Crawford's ID and grabbed his bike from the garage. His mother stood in the doorway as he adjusted his backpack straps, her face a mixture of pride and worry. "Be careful," she said again, her voice softer this time. "I will," Malik promised before pedaling down the street. As he rode toward Linda's house, the crisp morning air filled his lungs, and Malik felt a quiet resolve. No matter the outcome, he knew he was doing what he believed was right. Malik's bike skidded to a stop in front of a modest brick house with a small porch. The mailbox bore the name Crawford, confirming he was at the right place. He took a deep breath, clutching the purse in his hand. The autumn air felt heavier now, thick with the weight of uncertainty. Standing on the porch, Malik hesitated for a moment. His mother's words about caution echoed in his mind, but he reminded himself why he was there. He rang the doorbell, the chime echoing faintly inside the house. A few seconds later, hurried footsteps approached, and the door creaked open to reveal a middle-aged woman with soft blonde hair and kind but tired eyes. Her expression shifted instantly, from suspicion to relief, and then to overwhelming gratitude. "Oh my goodness," she gasped, her voice trembling. "You found it!" Malik nodded and held out the purse. "I found it on a bench at Elmwood Park yesterday. I thought you might want it back." Linda took the purse with shaky hands, her fingers brushing over the scuffed leather as if confirming it was real. She unzipped it and checked its contents, keys, wallet, and everything else intact. Her shoulders sagged in visible relief, and her eyes filled with tears. "Everything's here," she whispered, looking up at Malik. "You didn't take anything?" Malik shook his head, meeting her gaze. "No, ma'am. I just wanted to make sure you got it back." For a moment, Linda stared at him, her expression unreadable. Then, her face broke into a warm smile that made Malik's chest feel lighter. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you so much. You have no idea how worried I've been." Linda stepped back, motioning for him to come inside. "Please, At least let me get you something to drink. You've gone out of your way to do this." Malik hesitated, glancing at his bike parked by the sidewalk. "I'm okay, really. I just wanted to make sure you got it back." But Linda was insistent. "I won't take no for an answer. Just a few minutes, please." Reluctantly, Malik stepped inside. The house was cozy, filled with the scent of freshly brewed coffee and lavender. Linda motioned for him to sit at the kitchen table, where he placed the purse in front of him. Returning with a glass of lemonade and a small plate of cookies, Linda set them down in front of Malik. "It's the least I can do," she said, sitting across from him. As Malik sipped the lemonade, Linda opened the purse and pulled out a small photograph. Her eyes softened as she stared at it, her fingers trembling slightly. "This is my husband," she said quietly, holding up the photo. It showed a smiling man with warm eyes, his arm wrapped around a younger version of Linda. "He passed away a few years ago. I keep this picture with me everywhere I go." She paused, her voice catching. "When I realized the purse was missing, I thought I'd lost him all over again." Malik shifted uncomfortably in his seat, unsure how to respond. "I'm sorry about your husband," he said softly. Linda smiled faintly, brushing a tear from the corner of her eye. "You've done more than you know, Malik. I want to give you something for your trouble." Reaching into the purse, she pulled out a crisp $20 bill and extended it toward him. Malik immediately shook his head, his hands held up in protest. "No, ma'am, I can't take that. I didn't do this for money." Linda studied him, her expression a mix of admiration and gratitude. "Not everyone would have done what you did. Thank you, Malik, truly." Malik stood, ready to leave, but Linda's words stopped him. "Maybe there's another way I can repay you." The next morning, Linda sat at her kitchen table, the purse resting beside her, but her mind was elsewhere. She couldn't stop thinking about Malik, his humility, his integrity, and the quiet determination in his voice when he spoke about doing the right thing. It was rare to meet someone so young with such strong principles. Linda's gaze drifted to a framed photo on her mantel. It was of her son, Kyle, in his high school graduation cap and gown. Memories of his bright smile and endless ambition tugged at her heart. He had dreamed of becoming an architect, but a tragic car accident had taken him away 5 years earlier. Since then, Linda had struggled to find purpose in her days. But now, an idea was forming, a way to honor Kyle's memory while giving back to someone deserving. Picking up her phone, Linda began to call friends and acquaintances. Her first call was to Mr. Reynolds, the director of a local non-profit that provided scholarships for underprivileged youth. Linda had worked with him on community projects in the past, and she trusted his judgment. "Tom," she began, "I have a young man you need to meet. His name is Malik, and he's one of the most honest, hard-working teenagers I've ever encountered. He found my purse and returned it, refusing any reward. But what stood out was his dream, to study engineering. He just needs a chance." Mr. Reynolds listened intently. "A young man with that kind of integrity deserves a shot," he replied. "Have him come by our office next week. We'll see how we can help." Next, Linda reached out to Mrs. Henderson, a retired math teacher who ran a tutoring program for local teens. "If Malik wants to study engineering, he'll need strong math and science skills," Mrs. Henderson said. "I'd be happy to work with him and get him prepared for college-level coursework." By the end of the day, Linda had lined up several opportunities for Malik: scholarship applications, free tutoring sessions, and even a potential summer internship with a local architect. It had been years since she'd felt this inspired. Helping Malik felt like more than just kindness. It felt like a way to heal old wounds and keep her son's memory alive. Meanwhile, Malik had no idea what was unfolding behind the scenes. He spent the weekend helping his mom clean the house and playing video games with Layla, trying not to think too much about Linda's parting words. Part of him didn't want to get his hopes up. When Linda called on Monday evening, Her voice was bright with excitement. "Malik, can you stop by my house tomorrow? I have some people I'd like you to meet." Curious and a little nervous, Malik agreed. The next afternoon, he arrived at Linda's home, where several unfamiliar faces greeted him. Linda introduced him to Mr. Reynolds and Mrs. Henderson, explaining how they wanted to support his dreams. Mr. Reynolds extended a hand, his smile warm. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Malik. From what Linda's told me, you have a bright future ahead. Let's make sure you have the tools to reach it." Mrs. Henderson chimed in. "If you're serious about engineering, I'd love to help you sharpen your skills. We'll work on math and science together until you feel confident." Malik's head spun as he processed their words. This is amazing," he stammered, glancing at Linda. "I don't even know what to say." Linda smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "Say yes, Malik. This is your chance." For the first time, Malik allowed himself to imagine a future where college wasn't just a dream, but a real possibility. Weeks turned into months, and Malik's life began to change in ways he never imagined. After school, he spent hours at Mrs. Henderson's dining table, poring over math problems and engineering concepts. Her patient guidance made even the most complex topics seem manageable, and Malik's confidence grew with each session. At the same time, Linda accompanied him to Mr. Reynolds' office, where they worked on scholarship applications. Malik shared his dreams of becoming an engineer, and together they crafted essays that highlighted his determination and integrity. For the first time, Malik felt like his future was within reach. One crisp afternoon, a letter arrived in the mail. Malik's hands trembled as he tore it open and scanned the words, "We are pleased to inform you." His breath caught, and he read it again to be sure. He had been awarded a full scholarship to study engineering at Ohio State University. "Mom!" he yelled, running into the kitchen. "I got it." His mom embraced him tightly, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. That evening, Malik biked to Linda's house, clutching the letter in his hand. When she opened the door, he held it up triumphantly. "I couldn't have done this without you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Linda's eyes sparkled as she pulled him into a hug. "No, Malik," she said softly. "You earned this. All I did was open the door. You walked through it." The news of Malik's scholarship spread quickly through the community, and his story became a source of inspiration. At a local town hall meeting, Linda shared how a simple act of kindness, returning a lost purse, had set off a chain reaction that changed lives. "It's not just about what Malik did for me," she said to the crowd. "It's about what we can do for each other when we choose kindness over doubt and action over indifference." People responded with enthusiasm. Some volunteered to mentor teens, others donated to scholarship funds, and local businesses offered internships for students like Malik. On the morning Malik left for college, he stopped by Linda's house one last time. She greeted him with a care package filled with snacks, notebooks, and a framed photo of the two of them standing on her porch. "Thank you, Mrs. Crawford," Malik said sincerely. "No, Malik," she replied, her voice warm. "Thank you. You reminded me that kindness still exists, and that we all have the power to make the world a little brighter." As Malik walked away, Linda watched with a smile, knowing that this small act of kindness had changed both their lives forever. Malik's story is a powerful reminder of how one small act of kindness can ripple outward, creating change far beyond what we might expect. A simple decision to return a lost purse set off a chain of events that transformed not only his life, but also the lives of those around him. For Linda, it was a chance to honor her late son's memory by helping a young man with dreams as big as her son's had been. For Malik, it was the beginning of a journey filled with opportunities he had once thought impossible. But more than that, Their story inspired an entire community to come together, proving that when we choose compassion over indifference, incredible things can happen. Sometimes, the smallest actions, like a boy picking up a purse, hold the greatest potential for change. It's a testament to the enduring power of kindness to light the way forward for us all.